Hello everybody and welcome back. Tonight I have an account from you from Stocksbridge and the Stocksbridge bypass. And it was a couple who got in touch with me and they were driving from Manchester on their way to a friend's and they were driving along the Stocksbridge road around 4 p.m. when they heard a voice from the back seat say, "Look out," very loudly. At which point the lady who was driving and her husband in the passenger seat observed a man in old-fashioned clothing to the side of the road. He was just standing there, and as the lady applied the brakes in shock, he promptly vanished. Needless to say, that shook them up. But what puzzled them more was the warning voice that came from an empty back seat. I can tell you with certainty that this couple are not given to flights of fancy or melodrama, and they both described an old man in old naval clothes, like a sailor, bell-bottoms and all. There are many accounts of a ghost or spirit along the road and running into the road at the bypass. And it has a number of strange stories attached to it. The Stocksbridge bypass is part of the road. It's the A616 and it connects a part of Nottingham to Huddersfield in West Yorkshire, and it was built in May of '88. And the bridge around which many of the stories are based is called the P. Road Bridge, but it's known locally as the Ghost Bridge. And the most well-known account of the haunting from the area happened in September of '87, and two security guards were employed by the McAlpine Construction Company during the building of the bypass. And on the night of the 8th, their supervisor received a frantic call from them. Peter Owens arrived at the site to find two big, tough guys in a state of hysteria. The men told a story that started the night before, at around 12:30 a.m. When they'd been driving along P. Royd Lane, close to the steelworks at Stocksbridge, they were shocked to see children playing on the construction site, and they were tasked with guarding the site. So the children were playing quite close to the electricity pylon. They decided to investigate and they parked the car, pausing to watch the kids skipping and playing. They did notice that the children were wearing strangely out-of-date clothing, and as they approached the children, suddenly they were nowhere to be seen. They reached the spot where they'd been playing and were further shocked to see no footprints in the muddy ground on the spot. The following morning, they talked to other workers on the site and were told that others had heard children's voices during the night as well, while they were resting in the caravans provided for the workers. The following night, which is now the 8th, the two men were once again on patrol, when this time they encountered something definitely scarier. As they were approaching the P. Royd Lane site, they saw a tall, dark figure that they described as a monk, who then promptly vanished when the headlights reached him. It was this that caused them to ring their supervisor. And he was so concerned about their state and their story that he called the local police station. The officer on duty, P.C. Ellis, didn't really take too much notice of them and told them to report it to the police, at which state they promptly did. And at that time, a little while later, the priest got in touch with the policeman and advised him that he was with said gentleman and that they were terribly shook up and he would like to be accompanied back to the site. So two officers, P.C. Ellis and Special Constable John Beat, were sent to the site and visited on the 11th of September. Both were naturally sceptical about the stories and thought it was almost amusing. They parked the car and waited, expecting nothing would happen. However, a short time later, movement caught their eye on the bridge. Ellis got out of the car and ran towards the bridge, only to find a piece of tarpaulin flapping in the wind. So, not scared, they returned to the car. They decided to give it a little longer before leaving for the night. At that point, Ellis expressed a strange sensation like someone walking over his grave. He glanced to the side of the vehicle only to see a dark, clothed torso pressed against the door, with a white V-shaped piece of material running down its chest. No sooner had Ellis seen it than the apparition vanished, only to appear on Beat's side of the car. Ellis jumped out of the car and investigated to find nothing, so they got back into the car and started the engine. But the car wouldn't start. On the third attempt, the car started, and the pair drove to the construction area, radioing in their location. There was then a loud bang on the car, as if it had been hit, by a blunt object, but there was no cause for the bang in sight. Ellis climbed out and there was another bang, so we returned to the car and the pair hurriedly left the site. Both men reported what they had encountered and said that they'd never experienced fear as intense as during the encounter with this entity. And then in 1997, a couple made a report that they were driving along the road on New Year's Eve and had to swerve to avoid a figure that appeared in the middle of the road in front of them. Statistics show that the road does have a higher than average number of accidents on it, and there are a few accounts of figures on the road, as I mentioned earlier, and children, and people even mention ghosts that run out onto the road. And within 10 years of the bypass opening, 14 people had died at that point in accidents, and hundreds had been injured. And a local MP actually labelled the road an accident black spot. Many believe that the cause of the haunting isn't the road or the bridge itself, but rather the land on which it is built. A black dog has reportedly been seen here, and it's said to run onto the road from the surrounding fields, while a woman in white has also been seen along the road with fairies dancing around her at moonlight. Some also believe that the road may have crossed one of the fairy hills, and this is the reason for the accident. I'm unsure, but if you know anything about the Stocksbridge bypass, please get in touch. I would love to know. And I'm hoping that I'll be looking for guests now to come on every now and again, and we'll get the odd guest on and we'll have a chat. So if you've got an interest in the paranormal or in Bigfoot or cryptids or anything like that, and you want to come on the show and have a chat, get in touch and we will have a chat. But yeah, if you're a witness to anything strange at Stocksbridge, there is an old rumour out there in the Bigfoot circles that a strange dark figure was seen at Stocksbridge, but I think maybe people are mentioning the ghost. But there are accounts from very close to it. So if you know anything about it, would you get in touch with me? Because I'm dying to know. So until next time, ghosts and black dogs and ladies, I'll speak to you tomorrow. Good night.